Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about how social media can help us overcome bias in traditional media. First, we'll discuss bias in traditional media. Then, we'll talk about how social media can help us recognize and deal with that bias by allowing different points of view and public discussion. Let's start with the idea of bias. Imagine you see a news story about a person that only shows negative information about that person and omits any positive information. This would be an unfair news story, of course. This is an example of bias. Bias means showing an opinion about something that is not based on all of the facts. Let's look at a bigger example. News company A usually agrees with one political party. They publish news stories that say this political party is smart and popular and is likely to win an election. News company B, on the other hand, usually agrees with a different political party. They publish stories that are very different from news company A's. They say that a different political party is smart and popular and will probably win the election. Which news company creates true media messages and which creates biased messages? That's a hard question to answer. To start trying to figure this out, we should use our media literacy skills. In particular, we should practice the analysis skills that we learned about earlier in the course to ask questions about who made a certain message and which points of view might be included or omitted from that message. Remember, a point of view is the way a person sees the world based on that person's beliefs and life experiences. Asking these questions can help us understand why there might be bias in traditional media messages. As we know, traditional media is usually produced by powerful companies or governments because they have the required money and other resources. And companies and governments have a strong motivation to support certain points of view. A government-run news station, for instance, probably wants to support the point of view that the government is strong and fair and successful. They would like to publish news stories that agree with this idea. On the other hand, if there's a news story that would hurt the government, they might not want to publish the whole story. There is likely to be bias in the news they publish. Here's where social media comes in. One way social media can help overcome bias is by making it easy to share different points of view. In contrast to traditional media messages, which must be produced by big companies or the government, social media messages are very easy for individuals to produce. If just one person writes a message or takes a picture, it can be instantly published online. Through social media, it's possible for the public to learn about events from a point of view that's different, or even completely missing from traditional media. If you see that there are many points of view about an issue, you might take advantage of another feature of social media that can help overcome bias: the ability to ask questions and have a public discussion. Public discussion about issues is important because it can help you discover bias and find your own point of view about how to act in the world. To return to our example about news company A and news company B, you could find out more information about the political parties they support by turning to social media. Eventually, you could form a better opinion about the situation. Individual points of view on social media could be biased also, of course. However, because you can see many different points of view at the same time, you can more easily check for bias there. We'll talk more about checking for bias in social media later in this unit. To wrap up, we've talked about how bias can be present in traditional media. Social media can help us overcome that bias by letting users post different points of view and by allowing people to have public discussions about issues. Next, we'll talk about how social media is used to support causes.